Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Bitcoin and cryptocurrency video. If you like this type of content, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button as it means a lot to me. And if you are a fan of cryptocurrency, I have a cryptocurrency shop where you can shop cryptocurrency products. I'll leave a link in the description down below so you can get a nice discount off your next purchase. And without further ado, let's begin. And I just want to start off this video advising you of my bias on the outlook of the market and where we are and where I believe we're going to go. I just want to note, first of all, that no one knows where the market is going to go in the future. I know that is very cliche to say because there are many individuals, many content creators that portray strong evidence that Bitcoin USD is going to go to the upside or that Bitcoin USD is going to go to the downside. One thing for certain is that no one, and I mean no one, knows where the price of Bitcoin USD is going to go today, tomorrow, next week, next year. You can say that over time, Bitcoin will likely trend up, whether or not that's adjusted for inflation or adjusted for the decrease in value of the dollar, which technically is inflation. No one can tell you where the price of Bitcoin USD can go ultimately in the short term. Yeah. Anyone can provide strong evidence to the upside. Anyone can provide evidence to the downside. It just depends on what their bias is. If you want the market to go higher, you will find reasons to believe that the market will go higher. Same way, if you believe the market will go down, you will easily find reasons as to why the market will go down. Yeah. You could find patterns, you can find divergences, you can find anything that will support your bias, you will support it to the max. So, first of all, I'd just like to say, this video isn't about discussing any price predictions for Bitcoin USD because we don't know if it's going to go up or down. However, on the other hand, I am very I don't want to say certain because I could be wrong, and anyone can be wrong when creating content or portraying their views on the market. But I have very strong evidence to suggest that the Bitcoin dominance is going to break out to the upside. Yeah. Bitcoin USD is different from Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin USD is Bitcoin's evaluation against the United States dollar, whereas the Bitcoin dominance is Bitcoin's market cap evaluation against the rest of the asset class. Yeah. So, I strongly believe that the Bitcoin dominance is going to break out regardless if Bitcoin USD goes up or down. Hence why I'm strongly leaning towards a Bitcoin dominance pump regardless of a Bitcoin USD pump or a dump. Yeah. And let's just go to the Bitcoin dominance metric so far, and I just want to show you guys a couple of metrics, couple technicals here and there, and I'm going to support it with a few narratives and then come to a conclusion and summarize what I'm essentially saying. So stay tuned because this will be a very educational video, and I hope this will essentially help you. Don't take what I say, take it with a pinch of salt, because within this market, guys, anything can happen. And I mean anything. So, one pattern that I've essentially found with regards to the Bitcoin dominance is that it is essentially coiling up. Yeah. And I just want to show you guys something, because a similar pattern actually happened for Bitcoin USD when Bitcoin USD was around 38, 39k. And this is essentially a triangle, and the Bitcoin dominance is essentially looking to break out of this rising triangle, this rising forming pattern, which has a good chance of breaking out to the upside. More often than not, it breaks out to the upside. You can see we've hit the top, hit the bottom, hit the top, hit the bottom, hit the top, hit the bottom, and it's looking to break out to the upside. The pattern of this triangle is around that 58% mark, which is what I'm keeping my eye on. Yeah, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, my bias is that the Bitcoin dominance will seek further higher. Whereas someone who believes that an alt season is about to arrive, which is this right here where the Bitcoin dominance collapses, they will believe that the Bitcoin dominance will essentially fall. Yeah. So we've seen that pattern before. If we go back to Bitcoin USD, you will see what I am talking about, where the price of Bitcoin, and this was essentially on a daily chart, but we can low key see it on a weekly chart as well, where the price was right here and it was essentially coiling up before having its ultimatum breakout to the upside. So that's just one metric that I'm currently looking at because Bitcoin is looking eager to break up to the upside. Another metric, and I'm sure that you have seen this before, is the Fibonacci retracement level. You can see that Bitcoin dominance really has some sort of relevance over the last two cycles, because prior of these last two cycles, the Bitcoin dominance was 96% plus. There was no such thing as altcoins pre-2017. That is just the facts of the matter. So if we take a Fibonacci and we take a look at last cycle's fib level from the top to the bottom, you can see that from the lows, Bitcoin essentially bounced up to that 618 level, which was around 72.98%. Not once, but twice. Yeah. If we do the same again, and we take it from the top to the bottom of this cycle, you can see that the Bitcoin dominance is between the 382 and the 0.5 fib. If it was to repeat last cycle's movements, it would essentially reach the 618, which is this level right here, which coincidentally enough is around that 58 to 60% Bitcoin dominance. So those are just a couple of technicals that I've seen lately. But what is the supporting narrative? Because it's all good seeing it on the chart, but we also need a narrative to support our claims. And one of the most infamous narratives is the Bitcoin halving event, which is due to take place within a couple of weeks. As we all know, the Bitcoin halving is when the rewards for halving essentially halve. Yeah. So when miners mine Bitcoin, instead of receiving, let's say, 1 Bitcoin, you would receive 0.5 Bitcoin. It is the infamous event that essentially what makes Bitcoin so valuable over time. That infamous narrative will essentially spark some sort of dominant surge because all the interest is on Bitcoin, the speculation is on Bitcoin. Bitcoin will be making headlines, hence why many could either rotate their altcoins into Bitcoin or new money would be coming in and that would be going into Bitcoin amid the speculation. Another reason is because of the current macro environment that we are in. And what do I mean by this? I mean that with regards to the US economy, you can see that last cycle we had a rate hiking cycle just like this cycle where we also have a rate hiking cycle. It is known throughout history, not just in Bitcoin but in the S&P 500, that whenever there is a rate hiking cycle and the Fed increases rates over time, essentially pauses rates, there's an argument. It's not really an argument because it has been proven many times and it's getting proven now with Bitcoin within the last two rate hiking cycles that whenever there is a rate hiking cycle, liquidity from altcoins flow into Bitcoin. You can see last cycle that when the Bitcoin dominance had a massive surge, that was due to the Fed increasing rates. Yeah. Just like this cycle, when the Bitcoin dominance has a surge, it is due to the Fed increasing rates. On the other hand, you can see that when the Bitcoin dominance collapses, that normally comes from times of quantitative easing, which is where money is free, money is cheap, and when money is cheap, investors like to put their money into higher risk assets. So during phases of quantitative easing, you can see that the Bitcoin dominance collapses. Last cycle, you can see that the Bitcoin dominance started to collapse when interest rates were at 1%. 1% isn't, yes, the Fed was increasing rates at the time, but it bottomed out when the rates were at 1.5%. When the Fed went further and paused at around 2.5%, you can see that the Bitcoin dominance surged. So that's just my thesis, yeah? Now, if we take a look, if we remove the Bitcoin dominance metric and we overlay the Bitcoin dominance with Bitcoin USD, you can see that last time that the Bitcoin dominance topped out, where it had its final peak, was this moment right here. Back in September of 2019, August or September of 2019, yeah? When was that? When was that? That was when Bitcoin had its mid-cycle top in 2019, also right here. Coincidentally enough, if this allows me to overlay another chart, which it does, coincidentally enough, this is when the Fed started to reduce rates, which is this moment right here. When the Fed cuts rates, investors get spooked because they realize that there is something wrong within the economy and the Fed has been forced into a position to cut rates, which is scary for investors. In today's day and age, you can see that the Fed still has these interest rates paused. The Bitcoin dominance still has a way to go. Why does it have a way to go? Well, depending on whether or not Bitcoin USD has a pump, and this just depends, because if we take a look back at Bitcoin USD, if I remove these charts right now, right here and right here, if we look back at 2019 and we overlay interest rates, yeah, you can see that from this point where the Fed paused for the first time, that was Bitcoin's bottom, yeah. And then from when they paused for the first time, you can see that Bitcoin had one pump and then a break, another pump and a break, and then its final pump on the last on the last pause during the Fed's pausing. If we take a look at this time, for example, if we take a line from Bitcoin's first, the Fed's first pause, you can see that so far we've had a pump and a decrease, and another pump and then another decrease. So that does beg the question, and those who understand the Elliott wave theory, you understand that there's a 5-way theory where you essentially see a 1 move, 2 move, 3 move, 4 move, and then a 5 move completing the wave. Just like now we've got 1 move, 2 move, 3 move, 4 move, and now we are just awaiting that final move. The last time when the Bitcoin dominance peaked, that was during a Bitcoin pump. However, we are not sure whether or not Bitcoin USD will pump or dump. We are just assuming based on last cycle, and last cycle also had a rate hiking cycle, which is good to compare to now because we've only had one prior data point in Bitcoin's history. So that is why I strongly believe why the Bitcoin dominance will go up, because the technicals are screaming for it. You have the Bitcoin halving narrative. We are in a constricting macroeconomical environment, which is where the liquidity of altcoins flow into Bitcoin. There's just so much confluence as to why the Bitcoin dominance will go up, whether or not Bitcoin USD goes down or up. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of individuals screaming for a major alt season, and when looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, yes, Bitcoin has broken all-time highs. Yes, whenever Bitcoin does break all-time highs, an alt season follows. But this is the first time in Bitcoin's history where Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high and we are in a constricting macroeconomical climate. Yeah. So just looking at the Bitcoin dominance, this is what an alt season looks like. this is what an alt season looks like. The collapse of the Bitcoin dominance. We have not had that at all. Instead, the Bitcoin dominance just keeps making higher highs and higher lows, on the verge of a breakout. So that is it from me today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and as always, it's been your boy J1 General. Thank you and goodbye.